Hi there, this is Mr. Cardoso, and this is the second Turing video tutorial. In this program, we will explore variables and different data types, as well as the get command and how to use it to gather information from the user. So in the first video tutorial, this is the second one, in the first one we just looked at the put command, and we saw how we can output things to the screen, like hello world. Or in the case of numbers, you wouldn't need the quotations. Or you could have the quotations either way. It would work. Okay, so if we ran this, you could see that this outputs one line for each put command. There you have it. Okay, so in programming, there's a lot more to outputting things to the screen. What the put command does is it allows you to communicate to your user, and it allows you to send messages to your user or send information or answers to your user. Remember, your user is using your program because they're interested in achieving a task or completing a goal, and your program is going to do that for them. So when they input information, then you process it and you give them some sort of an answer, and that's what the put command is for. So there are lots of other commands other than just using the put command in programming and in Turing. We're going to explore some of those other ones. We need to, before we get to some of the other commands, we need to look at how to create information or how to store information in a computer program. And we do that using variables. Very similar to math, where you had the variables x and y. In programming, we give better names to our variables, and they store information based on whatever we want to put inside those variables. So, for example, to create a variable, let's go ahead and we use the keyword var to create a variable, and then we give it a name. So we give a name to our variable. Think of the variable as a box, okay? And we're putting a name on that box, and that whatever we're going to put inside that box, that's the kind of name we should put in it. So if we were organizing our room or cleaning our room, and we had a box where we were going to put all of our books inside that box, we might want to call the box a book box. So we're going to put all our books inside that box. And we have another box to put in our CDs, for example. So we might name that box CDs. We'll put all our CDs in it. Okay, so that's like our variable. Our variable is only going to store one piece of information at any one time. So let's create a variable called user name, for example. Okay, and then we put a colon. So this can be whatever we want to call it. We'll talk a little bit more about those conventions soon, but it should be one word, so no spaces. I wouldn't be allowed to do this, for example. So it should be one word without spaces. So username, and then I give it the data type. So what's the data type, or what kind of data am I going to put in username? And I'm going to put in a word, so it could be a name like John or Maria or Arusha or whatever name that comes to your mind, okay? So you want to, those are letters or words, and so you want their string of characters. So we put string, okay? We can make another variable, and let's say age, okay? Or even better, user age. And what kind of information are we going to put in there? Well, typically that's going to be a number, okay? And so we can say that's an int. Notice how these are all turning out to be bold and black because they are keywords in Java, so they're, in Turing, so they're reserved words. They're special. Whereas this one is not. So these are the names we chose to give our variables. And our variables are spaces in memory. Okay, now what if we wanted to make another variable called price? Say this is the price of some object or something that you're going to buy. And in that case, we want to make that a real. So there's three really important data types that we're going to talk about. There are others, but these are the three most important ones so far. So string, I'm just going to give a little description, put a comment here. Strings hold words or phrases. Think of a string of characters. Okay. And strings usually are separated by quotations. So you have to use quotations when you're dealing with strings. Okay. Ints store whole numbers, positive or negative, so plus or minus. Okay, so examples, -3, 5, 0, are all examples of numbers that could be stored in ints, as well as really big numbers like 5,678 could also be stored in an int. What could not be stored in an int are decimals. So that's why we have reals. Reals can store ints as well as decimals. And then finally, reals store numbers with or without decimals. So examples of this, and they can be positive or negative as well. So examples of this are -3.145. It could also be 5. It could also be 7.893. Okay, so these are all examples of real numbers. So notice this one is an integer. It could be stored as an integer, or it could be stored as a real number. But you cannot store this number with a decimal as an integer. We'll get into that a little bit more later on. Okay, so we've created variables now. What we've done, notice if I run this program, let's run this program. If I run this program, nothing shows up because there's no output for the user. You can see down here it says finished execution. Okay, so I press run, nothing shows to the screen because there is simply no output. We didn't have any put lines, and so nothing shows up for the user. Does it mean that nothing was done in the program? No. These 3 lines were executed, but of course nothing shows for the user since there's no put lines. Okay, so what that means is that in this line we have created a space in memory, and we've given that space a name, or that box a name, called username. Okay, and it's going to store a string data type. Okay, we've also created another box in memory, somewhere else in memory, called user age, and that can only store an integer. We've created a third space in memory called price, and that can store any type of number, positive, negative, or with decimals. So let's play around with these now. So we can do assignment statements. Assignment statements are statements that put values into our variables. So for example, I can say username equals Waits. Okay. And notice how I have to put the quotations there because this is a string. Okay. I can say user age. Oh, by the way, sorry, I need the colon here, or we're going to have an error. So colon equals, which means I'm going to take what's on the right side of this statement and put it into the box called username. Okay. I can take user age and assign that to be, say, 15. Okay, notice I don't need quotations here. In fact, I can't have quotations because this is of type int. Okay, so it just has to be a number. And then I can say price colon equals, and I can say this one is equal to 3.75. Okay, so that's $3.75, for example. Okay, so if I run this, what's going to happen? We've created these variables, or spaces in memory, and we've assigned values into those variables. Okay, but remember, there is no put lines. There's no output. So when I press run, it does all of this, but still nothing shows up. There's no other window that shows up. It's finished execution. It's done all of this, but it has nothing to communicate to the user. So if we want to test to see if our program worked, we should write some put commands. So we can say put user name. Okay. Now, notice that this is a variable that we've created and we've assigned a value to. So if I say put username, I don't need to write quotations around this. Okay, so let's run that. And now we can see Oasis showing up there because we put his name into this variable. Okay. If I put quotations around it, let's take a look at what happens there. Then we just get whatever's inside the quotation showing up. So we see username just comes up there. So if we want the actual variable, whatever's inside the box to show up, then I don't put quotations and then that will show up there. Okay, you can see that happening there. We can come back here and change the name. So let's say we put Ralph. Okay, now Ralph will show up. Oh, I spelled Ralph wrong. Okay, so I press run there, and there you have it. Okay, so we can also output the other ones. So we can say output user age and output the price. So now it's going to output these variables. Okay, so we can close that. So these are our output section, where we're outputting these variables to the screen. Okay. Now we can also do. We've learned a little bit with the put command that we can do something more than this. We can say, for example, let's say we wanted to say hello to whatever user is using the program. So we can say hello, close quotations, and I want to put the username. So I don't want to put the actual username. I want to put whatever name. For example, right now Ralph, I want to put hello Ralph. If there was another name here, I want to put hello whatever that name is. So I have to exclude that out of the quotations, otherwise it would just show up on the screen. So the trick here is after the quotations, I want to put hello onto the screen, exactly as appears here, but whatever username is in this variable. So I'll use a comma to outside the quotations and then put the name. Okay, so I press run now, and now it says hello Ralph. Okay, so the important thing here is the comma outside of the quotations, which will join this string and this string together. Okay, I can also write, for example, the price is, or sorry, your age is. Notice how I leave a space here so that it's not right beside it, so it looks nicely. And your price is. The price is right. Okay, so we press run here, and now you can see that it's joining all of these things together. So let's go back to our assignment statements here for a second. We don't just have to do simple assignment statements. We can actually, do some math in the assignment statements. So 15 times 365 if you wanted to figure out how old they were in days. Okay, so you can actually do that as well. You can have a whole PED mass or bed mass sort of expression on this side. Okay. So this video is running a bit long, so we've covered the major data types here, and so I'm going to stop this video and make another one that will talk about the get command. Okay? See you next time.